Say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Once again, we thank each and every one of you and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction. Let us begin this transmission titled The Angels of Orion. Now, this is going to cover quite a lot. Earth is a very active place right now, and has been for some time, in the following way. You are kind of like a recycling center for many different soul routes. We will put it this way. Long ago, in your terms of time, even though everything happens simultaneously, we're going to tell this story in linear fashion. In the ancient Orion systems, millions of your years ago, there was a world of great suppression, where the majority of the population were in many ways enslaved and ruled over by a troika of domineering individuals. There was a resistance movement to this that translates as the Black League, which is actually simply a reference to the idea of hiding in the shadows. They attempted to fight back, but since they were using fire to fight fire, they were eventually overwhelmed and did not succeed in changing the fate of their world. Many souls from that time, looking to transform the energy that was so dark and so negative, sought the idea of a place where such transformation could occur. When, millions of years later, because time is relative to the soul, the Anunnaki arrived on your world, and through genetic manipulation began to create from the hominid that naturally evolved the beings you now find yourselves to be, Homo sapiens, as the result of that genetic manipulation by the extraterrestrial beings known as the Anunnaki, which, by the way, come from a planet in the constellation you know as Cygnus. The idea of what has been called Nibiru was simply a way station in your solar system. It is not their origin point. Nevertheless, their world was compromised ecologically, and they were seeking to correct an imbalance by mining the substance you call gold. For in atomizing it and spreading it into the atmosphere, it would reflect solar radiation sufficiently to bring balance back into the climate changes that were severe and shifting on their world. And so they came to Earth and found that the task was beyond them after a while, and so invented the idea of workers to help them, which is you. Now, they were not supposed to do that, according to the general Anunnaki laws, and so they were recalled. But the idea that they were then given was that they had, along with others, the task from that point forward of guiding humanity in its new sentiency, in its new expression of self, forward, so that you could grow, you could learn, despite the fact that they had included in your genetic makeup some things that didn't necessarily immediately allow you the same evolutionary path that they had taken, even though you were made in their image. Now, once the human form was created, the souls of Orion knew they had some place they could go, because Earth was seen and experienced, as it is still today, as a place of cycles, where things go around and come around and come around and come around. Colloquially speaking, then, if you want to put it in your modern language, they recognized Earth as a do-over planet. That you would always get another chance, and another chance, and another chance, and another chance to work through the energies of darkness and bring them into light. But it's a little bit more complex than that. For again, over time, the souls first and foremost came into the solar system. And the first world they occupied is what you now recognize as the asteroid belt that was a planet called Maldek, which was destroyed because they didn't quite work the cycle out. And there was still a lot of conflict, still a lot of negativity, and ultimately it destroyed the planet, turning it into your asteroid belt. Now, many people did not understand that millions of years ago, not only Earth, but Mars and Maldek were habitable. Your sun, long ago, was slightly more massive than it is now, and slightly hotter and had slightly higher gravitation, pulling the planets in a little bit closer into what you call the habitable or Goldilocks zone, as your scientists say. So all three planets were habitable at that time. And so the souls began first and foremost to incarnate into the evolutionary beings on Maldek, and as we said, that didn't necessarily turn out as they planned. Next, they went to Mars and began to create the idea of habitation there in the life forms that naturally evolved upon that planet. Eventually, again, not quite having worked everything out, they created a vibration that allowed for a giant asteroidal impact to blow off the atmosphere of the planet. Now, there are still some primitive life forms on that planet, which you will discover soon enough. But the idea then became that the Earth was the only planet left in the solar system, whereby they could once again start up the cycle after the Anunnaki had created Homo sapien, and they found a home here on your world in terms of soul incarnation from Orion. But you see, again, it's a little busier than that. Because not only then is Earth the recycling planet for the ancient Orion story and journey of transformation, it is also the recycling planet for the Anunnaki journey and transformation because of what they had done, creating the stories of the fallen angels in your scriptures. These were the Anunnaki who had done what they shouldn't have done according to their own laws and were tasked with the idea then of guiding humans through the idea of their beginnings, of their journey on Earth. But it's even a little bit more busy than that. For you see, not only then do you have the idea of the ancient Orion recycling, the Anunnaki recycling, you have the Maldek recycling, the Martian recycling on Earth, and then when you have the parallel reality Earth that destroyed itself, creating the Greys, who came through to use your DNA to create us hybrids to allow their culture to continue, you have that particular journey of recycling and transformation as well going on Earth, playing itself out, all of these things coming together, playing themselves out on Earth, again through various cycles of build-up and destruction, build-up and destruction, build-up and destruction, from Lemuria to Atlantis to the ideas you express as your world wars. These are all recapitulations of the combination of all these things playing out, overlapping, all these stories and all these journeys of transformation going on right here in the grand central station of recycling, Earth. But now, with all of this coming together, all coming to a head, all coming to a point in the cycles that are occurring on your planet now, is the great opportunity beginning in your year of 2020 to really begin to break the chains of the old cycles and transform the ancient energy from darkness to light, allowing each and every one of you who walk that path and absorb and accept and allow that energy of transformation in to become the angels of Orion and end the cycle and begin a new one of prosperity and peace and beauty and creativity and love that will expand into the Earth becoming the 6th hybrid race and then blend with the others to become the 7th that will allow for a radiant energy of light to go out into the cosmos and allow Earth to become a stable beacon of energy rather than one that recycles itself over and over and over again. So this is the birth not only of a different Earth, but of an entirely new chapter in the idea of what Earth represents to the rest of the galaxy and the cosmos, in terms of the kind of energy it can begin to radiate to act as a stabilizing beacon for many other beings who may then ultimately have their own journeys of recycling, their own transformations to experience and partake in, and then looking to Earth to shine, even as you now look to the brightest star in the sky of Sirius, to act as a beacon to guide you into your higher selves, your better selves, to become truly fully realized and allow all the genetic markers within you from ancient times to finally open up to allow you to express the fullness of your being and to allow you to become a member of the Interstellar Alliance in full form that becomes a beacon, a bright shining star in the sky for millions of years to come. Does that sound like a good story? All right. So begin to awaken to the fact that all of these different journeys of recycling and transformation are overlapping now. And you can become, not only as a country, but as a world, the transformation nation. Allow yourselves to know you are innately transformers, allowing the energy to flow through you in such a way that as you then add the vibration of love and light to it, can allow it to turn into eternal light, eternal guidance, and eternal beacon that others can also allow into themselves to ignite the spark of awareness within them. We thank you all for choosing to be strong enough to play these roles, for knowing that Earth was an exciting place to be at this time, and for partaking in this journey of transformation, in this glorious transformative story. You are potentially very, very, very powerful. And in your transformation, others will see that even though all of these journeys have overlapped on your world, with all of the story that they have brought with them of oppression and negativity and darkness from so many different directions, they still knew that because of the cyclic nature of your reality, that they would have a chance again and again and again and again to bring it to this point. And now you are at this point. For as we said in the last transmission, 2020, because of the way your language and culture interprets this idea, is not only about the idea of a clear vision for the future, but clarity of hindsight in your history as well, to be able to use the illusions of the past to your advantage, to springboard and propel you into the future that you create in your present. So allow it to come together, allow it to coalesce within you, and go forth as beacons of light, following your passion, acting on it to the best you can, with no insistence on what that outcome must look like, staying in a positive state no matter what happens, so that you can be the crucibles that will allow all of those journeys and all of those stories to begin to melt together into one powerful momentum that can burst forth from that crucible and crystallize in a new, pure form that will experience light and love and peace and harmony. Walk that path, if you will. It is completely in your hands. We thank you for allowing us to share this story and multitude of stories that you contain with you at this time. So when you look in a mirror, do not just see the idea of a single earth human, but millions upon billions of individuals amalgamated within each of you, each telling their own stories, bringing them to this world to transform them, ultimately through those that live today. You have inherited, you are the heirs of this legacy. Tell the stories that allow them to continue in the most positive possible way. The stories of your lives, the stories of who you are, your true selves. In return now, for the gift you have given us, I ask, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin with your questions and dialogues, if you wish.
Hola, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you so much for this transmission. I feel like it is reflecting my own self-validation.
All right.
All these stories and experiences and timelines and incarnations. So,
thank you for validating yourself.
It's my pleasure.
It is ours as well that you do so.
Thank you.
And so
with the Atlantis transmission on Friday, and actually my physical birthday on this planet in this timeline is 4 days before Halloween.
Oh, all right. How spooky of you.
Yes. And so I have felt very connected to the Atlantean energy.
You are, yes.
Yeah.
You have made that connection for yourself.
Now, those connections, are those my individual oversoul incarnations, or are they simply other?
It can be either. It can be both.
Okay.
You can have oversoul incarnations that are connected to the same oversoul you are, and at the same time, in this life, you can simply choose to make a connection to someone who may not necessarily be a part of your oversoul extension, just because they have the experience and the knowledge and the information you need for that particular moment in your life. It can be either. And often it is both.
And it fluctuates.
Yes, of course. It's a dynamically changing thing. These connections plug and unplug as you need them.
Okay. So
and by the way, the plugging and unplugging of those connections is also part of the automatic organizing principle of synchronicity. It's just built into you because you know what the theme is, and therefore the theme you are exploring is what determines exactly how and when and why those particular connections are unplugged or plugged in. So that's an automatic thing that just happens.
Mm-hmm. And I personally feel that my theme has been, leading up to this point, transforming the darkness into the light. And so that leads me to the question of,
Yes.
I don't know, I'm getting really confused with, yay, confusion.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yes.
Okay.
Transforming darkness into light leads to the question of?
Do I... Obviously, I'm making connections to Orion as well.
Yes.
And I know that I have an incarnation as a gray in the negative timeline because I've met that individual.
All right. And so you're gathering yourselves back together.
Yes. And it's exciting. And
Another form of co-fusion.
Okay, so
Yes.
magic has been coming up frequently, and through this incarnation, my idea of linear time.
Yes.
Ever since I was a child, I told myself when I would turn 27 would be a magical, or I didn't necessarily use the word magical, but it would be a very pivotal time frame for me.
All right,
And it has been. And so the idea of magic has been coming up synchronistically a lot.
Yes.
And I want to know in what ways that can, like what you could shine light on regarding like magic. And
Well, magic is simply resonant synchronicity. It's simply an understanding of how things work to a high degree, and therefore capable of putting out certain kinds of frequencies, certain vibrations of energy, certain resonant frequencies that will match the idea of shifting into different kinds of parallel reality expressions, but expressing them in this particular reality. In other words, acting as a conduit or a siphon or a valve for the idea of tapping into other parallel realities that you can actually allow in your energy field sufficiently enough, with enough mastery, to allow others to match the frequency and see things change in what you would call a unexpected or magical way. That's how that works. You're actually shapeshifting. You're actually creating your reality to contain a bubble reality within it that is representative of a different parallel reality in which the thing happening in that bubble is natural and par for the course in that other reality, but acting as the conduit, you can bring that vibration through sufficiently that others might also be capable of matching the frequency and experiencing what it is you are bringing through as if the reality is transforming in front of their eyes. Does that make sense what we're saying scientifically?
Mm-hmm.
It's about resonant physics. It's about matching vibrations of other realities and creating a bubble here that can allow others to experience those other realities in that bubble.
Beautiful.
Yes. It is a very, very strong and powerful form of transformational expression.
I love that.
This is one of the stages of the 5 levels of mastery that Willa has talked about. There is the cryptic that grounds you. There is the nocturnal level that allows you to begin to tap in psychically to the different parallel lives that you may be connected to. There is the shapeshifter stage in which you can bring through what we just talked about in terms of aspects of other versions of yourself, but manifest them in this reality in your own body. Then there is the sage that is kind of like what you call your magicians or wizards or warlocks or witches or sorceresses or what have you, that are actually capable of creating a larger bubble to include other people experiencing the transformations they are bringing through from other parallel realities and representing other worlds and other shapes. And then there is the wraith, which is the idea of a level of mastery where you're actually allowing things that have to do with the spirit realm to become manifest in physical reality. Those are the 5 levels of mastery. So what you're referring to as magic is more often than not expressed in kind of the shapeshifter and sage levels, as well as the wraith levels. The cryptic and nocturnal levels are just beginning to tap into those things. But first, the cryptic grounds you in earth, in nature, so that you can explore those other parallel realities without experiencing a kind of disconnection from your own reality. That's why the grounding is important first. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
You're welcome. Does that help?
It does.
Anything else?
Yes.
Are you sure?
No.
Do you have what you need?
I think I do.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Shivai.
Shiva.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Good day. This is my first time here.
Oh, all right. It's my first time with you.
Okay. I'm challenged with chronic pain. It's narrowing my vision
All right. Now, you understand we don't do health readings.
No.
Nevertheless, we can talk about the
just
idea
wanna
of
know
energies and
how.
belief systems.
How can I best function with it?
What is it that you are not doing in life that you would rather be doing? Let's start there. Are you following your passion? Yes or no? Hesitation usually means no. So what is it you would rather be doing? What is it you are resisting and building up within yourself energetically as a resistance to your true self? What negative beliefs are you holding on to that, because of holding on to negative beliefs that aren't in alignment with you, creates resistance, which creates pain?
Confusion. It's just I'm confused
Confused about what?
with the knowledge that I have.
In what way? Can you be more specific?
That's the problem. I can't be more specific.
All right, then let's go back to the initial question. What would you rather be doing in terms of following a passion or following a dream that you're not doing?
I would rather be able to walk without pain.
I understand that, but we're talking about a side effect. I'm asking you deep down, what would you rather be doing in life that you're not doing for some reason? What are you scared to do?
Nothing.
Nothing at all?
No.
Then how are you using the pain to educate yourself? What is the pain allowing you to experience that without it you otherwise would not necessarily have experienced in life? What is it bringing your attention to?
I guess the other people's pain is what it's bringing. Right.
So you believe that you need the pain in order to be empathetic to other people who are experiencing it?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know.
Are you in some way, shape, or form moving toward the idea of being some form of counselor or healer?
Yes.
And are you doing it?
Yes.
To what degree? And in what way?
Well, with my family and with other people
In
that
what
are
way?
in recovery.
Yes. And so?
And so
Do you feel that you have to have the pain they have in order to relate to them and them to you?
I have, yes.
All right. Well, you've walked it. Have you learned enough from it?
Yes.
Can you continue to learn without having the pain?
Yes.
All right. Then when will you let it go?
Now.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Do you have a good reason for letting it go?
Yes.
Do you understand it no longer serves you, that you can continue to do what you need to do in following your dream and acting on your passion and learn what you need to learn in other ways other than adopting the idea of the pain that the other people may be experiencing within themselves?
Yes.
Because if you don't know how to let it go, how can you help them know how to let it go? It's fine that you've walked the path and learned a way to relate to them and them to you. But how are you going to help them let it go if you don't know how?
Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Good.
All right. Anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you.
Bashar, hello, my friend.
And to you, good day.
I'm acting on my highest excitement to the best of my ability, and
You're going to finish that formula, right?
to the best of my ability, I'm working. The big lesson since I talked to you last is working on the insistence of letting go of expectation, and that has been a huge lesson for me right now.
All right. All you have to do is get to the point of understanding that the insistence is a limitation on what you could be receiving. When you really understand it's a limitation, why would you want to keep doing it?
Yes. Daryl, the channel had said that to me, and I've been working on that.
What are you working on?
Why
is it not obvious? That's what we're asking
I
you.
think I'm holding on to definitions that no longer serve me.
And you would not do that unless you believe that they did serve you. So in what way do you believe that they serve you, even though you know that they don't?
I'm learning to let go of the core belief that I'm worthy. I think I have a deep...
All right. So you're still willing to argue with creation about your worthiness?
I guess so,
You haven't gotten to the point of understanding you can never win that argument?
No, I guess not.
All
Yeah,
right.
this is enlightening. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think you can win that argument?
No, I think I need to let it go. Let go
Yes.
of that.
But do you understand that you can?
Now I do. I'm starting to learn that. I've acted on my excitement and my passion, and I have taken it as far as I can, and I'm learning to let go of the insistence of expectation.
It's just insistence.
Just
You can
the-
expect that something will happen.
Okay.
But we're talking about assumption and insistence of a particular way in which things happen. That's what
Yes.
you're letting go of.
Okay,
Because
okay.
again, it comes with the understanding that the physical mind can't necessarily know what the best outcome should actually look like. You can create a symbol of it, a picture that represents the idea of an ideal outcome, but you don't really know for a fact that that depiction is exactly what would be the ideal outcome. So it acts as a symbol to get you into an excited state,
Okay.
but then you have to drop the picture. That's how visualization actually works, because you don't know that that's actually the best outcome. You need to make space for the higher mind to bring you what actually works better for you. Because again, remember, what to the physical mind seems like the highest height, to the higher mind is just the floor.
Thank
And
you.
it can go much higher. So why not let it? Why limit yourself by insisting that a particular outcome has to look a certain way if you know that that's actually preventing something better from coming? Why would you want to insist on that?
Okay. Thank you.
You see, it makes
yes,
no sense.
Yes.
So when it gets to the point where it makes no sense, then it's gone.
Okay.
If
Thank
you keep doing the same thing, you still have a belief that makes it make sense.
Okay. Yes. About what you just talked about, the
Yes.
angels of Orion, I really resonate with that because
All right.
I've had delved into some deep darkness, but I'm letting go of that, and
All right.
I'm learning to let go of the definitions. Thank you for that. A few examples.
Yes.
I'm just curious. I talked to you before, and acting on my highest excitement, I bought property and I built a hybrid sanctuary in Oregon, and
Oh,
I
all
actually hope donate. How do I say? I let you know so that hopefully. Okay.
You're treading back into the idea of insistence on what should happen with it.
Okay. Yes.
Remember,
Yes.
here
exactly.
is the statement. You act on your passion for its own sake. That's it. Not because of what you think it will accomplish, or what you
Okay.
think it will get you, or where you think it will lead, or what you think it will do, or what you think it will bring to you, or what you even think it's for.
Okay.
When we talk about acting on your passion, we're talking about purely acting on your passion, because there is no other choice for you but to do that thing. There is nothing attached to it. Nothing attached to it, because you don't know what actually needs to happen with it. You don't know. You're just creating a space, because that's your passion to do so. Yes, you may have your reasons why you're doing it, but you have to drop those too, ultimately, because the act of doing it is just an expression of passion, and you don't really know what's going to happen with that. It might become a refuge for hybrids in the future. It might become a refuge for cats, for all you know.
Okay.
But the idea is that it is there as an expression of your passion, if that is truly what it is, and you are willing to allow it to attract what it needs to be, because you don't really know that. This comes down to the idea of really letting go of the idea of the negative ego that thinks it knows everything, how everything has to work out. You have to let go of the hubris. It's a pure act of passion and unconditional love, and there is no other reason than that to do it. No other reason than that to do it. But you know, you can expect that it will serve a purpose, because it was created from passion and love.
Okay.
You don't have to know or insist on what that service actually will turn out to be.
So that was the lesson, what I'm learning right now.
Yes.
Yes, so thank you. And that brings me to my next, what I want to do next. My next acting on my passion is I'm an artist, and I'm just going to go back to Cambodia and just do art. And I'm going to trust that it's going to work out.
You have to know that it will. Because when you say, I'm going to trust, there's still a hesitation in that. You have to know that it will. You see, again, this comes down to what you know to be true, you just do. There's no questions about that. Exactly on the same level, again, as if I said, can you simply talk? Yes. And so you don't stop and go, do I believe I can talk? Do I trust that I can talk? I don't know. Maybe let me think about this for a while before I actually say anything. No. Can you talk? Yes.
Yes.
Because you know you can. What you know is inherent in your behavior. It's fused into your action. So if the passion is to simply return to Cambodia and express your art, you don't have to add the rest of that sentence.
Okay.
You know
Yes.
that it will be of benefit in some way, shape, or form and bring you what you need. Remember, it's not about so much what you want, it's about what you need, because what you need will fulfill you. What you want often won't.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Does that help?
That helps a lot. Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You are off to Cambodia then?
Yeah, I am. I am in December. Yes.
All right. Because if you are allowing yourself to become an angel of Orion, all you need to do is spread your wings and fly.
Okay, thank you. And I will be there in Joshua Tree. I was curious, do you, when I meditate to you and the hybrid children and send you unconditional love, are you aware of it?
Not necessarily specifically.
Okay.
Remember, we are completely, constantly bathed in unconditional love.
Okay.
So the idea that it has to be coming from a specific person isn't always relevant to us.
Okay.
When it is relevant, we will know about it. But it's not always relevant to know that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. And I guess my last question would be, I have a son now. His name's Shavai in Cambodia. And I was just curious if you have any advice for a father to his son. Any advice you can give me?
Yes. Go to Cambodia and express your art.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
I love you so much.
Our unconditional
Thank you very
love
much.
to you as well.
Hi, I'm Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you for that, what you shared with the other person before me. It really cleared things up for me.
All right. Thank you for your synchronicity.
This is the highest exciting thing I can do. And
At this moment.
At this moment.
When you leave, you will do something else exciting.
Yes, connect. It's funny, I had so many questions sitting down there, but standing up here, it's all gone.
That happens. When you begin to understand how things work, the questions often dissolve.
Well, that's the thing, because what came to me was life is as easy as blinking and breathing.
It is. So, if you don't have a question, you can make a statement if you wish.
Yes, the statement I would like to make is I followed you for about 8 years of my time. And
You were behind me?
And I did it more from a state of hopeful optimist, but active pessimist.
All right.
And it led me to my accident, which
wasn't an accident,
no.
which was an awakening.
Oh, very much. I grounded myself by falling 20 feet to the ground.
Oh, all right. Well done. Congratulations.
Oh, yes.
How creative.
Very. And once I hit the ground, I transitioned into, I think, a limbo state where I talked to my higher self.
Yes.
And it said, would you like a second chance? To which I said, do I get one? And he said, yes, of
Oh,
course.
absolutely.
Of course. Everyone chooses when they die.
Yes.
So I was like,
You
okay.
are always offered. You can continue in the same life. You can choose other things. You are always offered a choice.
And then I deliberated for 5 minutes because of rent and taxes. And for some reason, I chose to come back. It was like the 5 minutes was condensed down into 1 second.
Yes.
Just so I wouldn't know in the sense, but I felt, of course.
Yes.
And I woke up, of course, paralyzed from the neck down, to which at that point, the gift was I either walk or I truly die.
All right.
And I chose to walk.
Thank you.
But then when I hear you talk about these storylines that you're sharing now.
Yes.
If everything is new, billion times a second,
Yes.
why this storyline of Atlantis and not one which is bathed in utopian ideas and abundance?
Why?
Yes.
What do you mean, why?
Well, it could be any timeline that you would share with us. Why this one, that it was destroyed with the comets and everything?
Because this is the one you're all playing out. This is the one we're speaking to right now.
So it's important that we are on this theme and this pathway.
Yes, because your theme is transformation from darkness to light. Therefore, that part fits the story that you're playing out. So right now, that's part of your history. In a little while, it may no longer be. Because remember, as you change your present, you change your past. But right now, that's the storyline you're playing out, all of you.
Well, yes, I did transform from darkness into light. So with Atlantis, I knew about the Eye of the Sahara in North Africa, and I thought that was Atlantis due to the images that were shown. But now you're saying Atlantis is in the Bahamas.
The main island, but they did have colonies. They did spread across the globe pretty far.
Yes.
So they may have remnants in different places, and Northern Africa is certainly one of them.
The Sahara itself, I believed it was very much covered in flora, woodlands.
It used to be, yes.
And I'm not sure which civilization, but one of them harvested all the wood for the sake of building and construction and turned it into a desert.
Well, that's not really the only reason. Some of that was done, but again, the idea of the great climate shift that happened also had a lot to do with it.
And the comet hitting the big comet hitting the Atlantic, sometimes people say they see whale bones in the Sahara Desert. Would that have been due to the comet and the big tsunamis?
Yes.
Before, a while back when I was younger, I always dreamed of tsunamis, really big tsunamis, so that very much cleared it up for me, so thank you for that.
You are welcome.
Other than that, just I appreciate your passion in being a first contact specialist.
It is our passion and our pleasure and our deep appreciation to you.
And I feel very much that I myself am one, will be at some point.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that more the following in our footsteps thing?
Oh, yes, very much so.
All right. Then by all means, keep walking.
Oh, I shall.
I know.
The colors red and white and black of Orion, you talked about in
Atlantis.
You talked about it being Atlantis.
Yes.
Are they very much linked, Orion and Atlantis?
Well, yes, of course, because of the darkness that grew there and again ended the cycle in that way, similarly to what happened in Orion times.
And could you say what were they eating in Atlantis? Were they...
A lot of fish, a lot of vegetables, grains, things like that.
They
Fruits.
They didn't treat animals like we did today, then, I take it.
Some of them did in later times, yes.
That is the darker side of some of them.
In a sense, although that doesn't always mean that's a darker side. A lot of the indigenous tribes on your planet will be eating meat, but they do so in a way that is extremely respectful.
Okay, because that's where I'm at, because I do enjoy eating meat, but I also value the free will of the animals.
Do it if you still feel that your body consciousness requires it. Do it in the most respectful, natural way you can.
Yes.
Until such time as you may change your frequency to a point where you simply no longer have a need for it. Let it happen naturally.
Thank you. I've very much now, after the accident, live to my highest excitement in every given moment to the best of my ability with zero insistence on any and all outcomes.
Thank you.
My last question would be, I really appreciated your sharing on the threshold of believability.
Yes.
Please, could you share that again, because it's been so long since I have heard that.
Yes. We will give you a brief recap, as you say. The idea is that if you find you have a particular resistance or so-called block to moving forward on something that represents your excitement, you can ask yourself, well, is there a time frame, a very long time frame, by which I have no hesitation believing that I could actually move forward or do that thing by that time? Let's just say arbitrarily, is 20 years from now in my belief system more than enough time to be able to really act on my passion and be myself in the way that I prefer to? If there is no hesitation in answering yes, instantly, feeling that that truly is Absolutely more than enough time. Then start lowering the bar. Is 15 years enough time with my present belief system for me to be who I really prefer to be, to do this thing I say I wish to do? Yes, 15 years, absolutely. I have absolutely no hesitation knowing that it could be accomplished within 15 years. Is 10 years enough time? Yes. Is 5 years enough time? As soon as you hesitate, even for a second, to say yes, that's how long it will take with the present belief system. So then you examine your belief system and say, well, what would I have to believe is true in order for it to take that much time? Once you find that belief and let it go, take the test again. 20 years, no problem. 15 years, no problem. 10 years, no problem. 5 years, with my new belief, no problem. 3 years, no problem. 2 years, maybe. Again, the second you hesitate, that's how long it will take with your present belief system. Keep finding the beliefs that make you hesitate to be yourself and let them go. If you finally let them all go, all the ones you can find, and there is still an amount of time left, that's how long the process needs to take for you to have the experience you need to have to develop a full understanding, a full appreciation of what the actual outcome will be when you act on your passion. That's the threshold of believability test. So you can reduce the process down quite a lot, but only to a point where if you really need some process because you're here in physical reality, which is all about the idea of having an experience to learn something new about yourself and see something from a different point of view, then you will arrive at the least amount of time, the least amount of process that you need by doing the threshold of believability test. Does that help?
Yes, the journey is the goal.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bashar.
Thank you.
First Physical Contact 2025.
We will see about that. That's just the beginning of the window.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Greetings from me, but also from Ri, who's in Japan right now.
Oh, all right.
In Sedona, right before your Sedona event, we were climbing Bell Rock
Yes.
in the morning, having a really fun time.
Yes.
And I felt, oh, I'm in Lemuria right now.
Oh, all right.
And
Well, it is a portal that connects to other dimensions and parallel realities, so you can pick up on other times and other places in that portal.
yeah, I feel that. We were standing on a place in Bell Rock, pretty high up, where it was really flat.
Yes.
And she turned to me and she said, oh, I feel many, many aliens here right now.
Yes.
And she felt them connecting with her. And then
Yes.
her facial expression started to shift to match
Yes.
the energy she was feeling.
Yes.
And I guess a vibrational verbal translation of some energy she was feeling.
Yes.
She started making this sound effect. Sigh, 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 sigh. And she was wondering who was connecting with her, which race that was.
One moment.
Thank you.
A future self hybrid on Earth.
Yeah, that's what we thought. We felt. Is that related to Sasani energy?
Well, indirectly. But it's the idea, again, of the hybrids that will live on Earth and in the future will have blended with humanity in a way becoming the sixth hybrid race. Yeah. Similar to the idea of Hilla Chrissing.
Sure. Totally. She was given the message, and she wanted to ask about this too, that inside Bell Rock there was a form of craft, I guess, energetically, and they said, you were on this craft. Can you please comment on that?
No.
Okay. She has a silly question, if that's all right.
Yes.
She says, why do you click the channel's teeth?
There are other kinds of energies coming through that simply don't translate into words. Things that we may be doing, things that we may be paying attention to that have nothing to do with the information we need to deliver to you, but you're getting an understanding that there are other things going on in the background. They just don't translate into your language.
Oh, wow. Interesting. My final question is, could you please comment on the Atlantean language or the Lemurian language? Which languages at this time have a connection to those energies?
Well, as we said, there isn't much in the channel's vocabulary that would allow us to actually bring through a full Atlantean dialogue. But we know that the actual name in its ancient form was simply pronounced Aztlan. A-Z-T-L-A-N, Aztlan.
So are there any languages on this planet that share an energetic connection or some connection to the ancient Atlantean
The
language?
Aztec language, to some degree, does, because that is one of the strongest remnants that remains in its relatively similar form to the society and architecture that existed in later times in Atlantis. And also, oddly enough, some of the ancient ideas that you call Sumerian.
Oh, wonderful. Could I please ask the same question for the Lemurian language?
No,
Okay. Thank you so much, Bashar. It was very nice to talk to you again.
you are welcome. There are simply things at times that it is not for us to say. Other sources will give you the information that you need.
Hey, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
So last night I had an interesting dream,
Yes?
and I was in a house that I believe my wife bought for me, which is an unusual thing for her to do.
Oh, all right.
And the most interesting characteristic of the house is that the living room, the wall separating the living room from the outside sort of wasn't there, and the room just sort of went out and just extended and expanded, and it sort of brought the outside in.
Yes.
And as I walked out there, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's like big enough to land a craft in here.
Oh, all right.
And it made me think when I woke up that maybe I was actually in a different place where they did land crafts there.
Yes, although it was kind of a blended dream of a few different ideas.
Can you tell me any more about that?
Not only experiencing the concept of certain kinds of bases that exist on your planet, underground bases, where crafts can land, but also the idea of expanding your reality from something more limited to something more unlimited. Breaking through the fourth wall.
Okay, great.
Which is an expression also of going into fourth density. More quickly, more accelerated.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes?
Another dream that I remember going back a little, maybe 8 months, a year ago, where I actually did remember having contact with an extraterrestrial race. And I just remember them leaving and there being just such a feeling, an immense feeling of unconditional love that I really hadn't experienced before. And I was wondering if you could tell me who that race was.
They were hybrids.
They're hybrids?
Yes.
Okay. My hybrid children?
No, not directly. They may have been a combination of members of the Yael and a few other hybrid beings.
Okay. Do I have any hybrid children?
You are connected to the hybridization agenda in certain ways, yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, switching topics. I had a question about pregnancy.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, like, after the act of having intercourse, is getting pregnant a decision
Yes,
that
of course it is.
the woman makes?
Yes. It is a decision everyone makes.
Okay.
It's an agreement on certain levels, including a decision of the spirit as well that might be involved. There are timings to these things, agreements behind these things for a variety of purposes. a variety of different kinds of experiences. But it's all by agreement. There are no accidents. It's all an orchestration
Right.
on the part of everyone involved.
Right. So if that concept were truly understood,
Yes.
then we could just completely eliminate the idea of an unwanted pregnancy.
Correct.
And then like the whole
There's
issue,
no such thing in our world.
right. So then the whole issue of abortion just goes away.
Yes. Because you're approaching it from a completely different level and a completely different understanding. You understand the timing and the orchestration and the synchronicity of these things. And you have more awareness of what your agreements are and why. Thus, you can play them out in a way that is a little bit more transparent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
One last question.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Oregon vortex?
Yes.
And in my experience of it, it's a place, unlike the Sedona vortex or other vortexes, where it's very defined, and it appears to me that matter and space becomes condensed.
It's a tunnel. Yes. It's a particular tunnel that can be used for certain kinds of, well, shall we say, traffic, interdimensional traffic.
Okay.
And it is something also that is utilized by the Sasquatch in the area to go from one reality to another. Bless you.
Interesting.
That's why they're so hard to find.
Right. Is there any way
It is called, in their language, slipwalking. They can slip from one reality to another, so they cannot be found if they do not wish to be. It's called slipwalking.
Right. Is the divinorum that the Sasquatch make for the hybrid?
Well, not all Sasquatch make divinorum. Not all Sasquatch are divinorum masters. Many different kinds of beings can be divinorum masters, but some Sasquatch are, yes.
Is an ingredient in divinorum salvia divinorum?
It is an ingredient, but there are ingredients in divinorum that don't even come from your planet. And again, it is created specifically for hybrid genetics.
Is there a salvia-based concoction that would be appropriate for human genetics?
We cannot give you the formula. That is not allowed through us.
Right.
But you could find that out through the teachers themselves
Yep.
that come from the earth. They will guide you.
Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a few questions for
Yes.
you, and thank you for answering them for me. The first one has to do with the propagation of electromagnetic fields.
Yes.
I am a student on earth sciences specifically,
Yes.
but I'm very curious about the propagation of EM fields in the human body.
Yes.
Are there specific frequencies at which we have very negative effects in our bodies? We already know that, for example, UV light, which is part of the electromagnetic spectrum,
Yes.
causes a lot of harm in our bodies.
It can. It doesn't have to, but it can. Yes, it depends upon what frequency you're operating on, what belief systems you're operating on, what kind of a reality bubble you have created yourself to be in.
Okay, so what are the parts of the spectrum that we can apply into our bodies that will actually promote the self-healing properties that we have?
Well,
Does it
visible light can help,
Visible light?
especially blue light.
Okay. Does it matter what kind of blue light it comes from? It could be from an LED bulb or any other kind of...
It can be,
It can, okay.
and it will also, shall we say, be determined by the frequency at which you might deliver it.
Yeah,
in terms
blue
of
light,
not just the frequency of the light, We're talking about the frequency of the device that delivers it. In other words, are you actually delivering it in a flickering motion? Because certain frequencies of blue light delivered in certain frequencies of flickering motions can also enhance and amplify if the flickering is a counterpart of the vibration of the light. It can magnify the effect.
I understand.
All
It's
right.
just the same as when we listen to the sound.
Yes.
It matters if you're playing it from analog or digital.
Yes, but also still matters in terms of the frequency at which you deliver the information.
Okay.
It needs to be in a phi ratio relationship in order to be more effective, in order to resonate within itself and amplify itself up in a certain way.
Okay, so this brings me to the second question, because I have been working in something called harmonic egg.
Yes.
And this is, for those of you, this is a machine that it's created, it's a chamber that it has a geometrical form. And one of the things that the creator says is that this specific geometry, which is as an egg oval,
Yes.
it enhances
Yes.
that resonance.
It acts as a resonating chamber, yes. That in certain proportions will amplify and magnify the effect, yes.
Yes. So is this machine promoting the self-healing?
It can.
It can.
But again, it depends upon how transparent you're being, how precise you're being, and also you have to allow that some people may go into it not necessarily for the purpose of being healed.
Okay. So if, in my case, I want to heal, is there something else I can do to enhance this particular
Well, we have to leave
environment?
that up to your own imagination.
Okay.
We cannot guide you too far in this because we cannot intervene in your process of discovery. But you're on the right track.
That was my third question. That,
You're on the right track.
am I, okay. So is there something else that I need
That's
to
all
do?
we can give you. You're on the right track.
Okay.
Keep going. Follow your passion. Follow your instincts. Open up. The information will come.
Thank you.
You can even use the resonating chamber to some degree to put you in a state where you can receive more information about making it more effective.
Understand.
You can bootstrap yourself up that way.
Okay.
All right?
Can I ask you something else?
You just did.
So in computer software, there is something called Easter egg. And this is basically a message that is hidden in the software to
Yes.
acknowledge the developers that made it.
All
Is there
right.
something similar in our bodies? So, and where we can
Oh,
find
yes.
it? Can
in
you
your
give
genetic structure.
Okay, so the way that we can
In your
find this.
DNA, there are markers that were placed there when the Anunnaki created Homo sapiens that still have to be unlocked to release your full potential.
Is using vibration the way to unlock these keys?
Resonance is always the key. No
Okay.
matter what form it is presented in that works better for some people than others, resonance is always the key.
What are the causes of magnetic field to reverse itself? And at what time scales does it reverse? Could you elaborate on
You're
that?
talking about the Earth's magnetic field?
The Earth's magnetic field.
Yes, well, your scientists are aware of the time scale by examining the reversal of the polarity in the strata of rock.
Yes, but we don't really know if it changes abruptly between the north and south poles.
It is
we have
already
some theories.
weakening at this point.
So one of the theories is that it changes in different parts of the world slowly, and then at some point it starts to decrease its strength, and then it abruptly changes
Yes.
towards the other.
That's correct.
shape. That is correct. Okay.
Yes.
Does it have any implications on the human, on the life that it's on
Well,
Earth?
it can, but generally speaking, the slowness with which it begins to build up will usually allow you to adapt to the shift.
Okay. Also, my partner, who is actually the person who brought me here, he has been reading a book from Dolores Cannon, and he wants to know if it's true that we can live many lives, as much as 120 lives, as keep reincarnating and reincarnating in the
You
Earth.
can choose to do that, but again, remember, reincarnation is an illusion. You can experience reincarnation as if it's real, but everyone already exists. So what you're actually doing is you are creating energetic connections to other beings that already exist in what you call the future, which is simply another form of the present, a parallel to your own. And by making those connections, you download energy, information, and experience from those people that exist simultaneously with you. But because you're doing it from a space-time perspective, you interpret those connections as either coming from the past or the future, even though you're actually connecting to someone who exists right alongside you in a slightly different vibration that is invisible to you.
Understood.
So you can create the experience of many reincarnations, but it's only the experience. It's not a description of the actual mechanism you're using to create the experience.
Okay.
Does that help?
It helps. There's one last thing.
Yes.
And this goes back to the answer you gave to someone else before about the visualization technique.
Yes.
And one of the things that I have been practicing in the morning is to do affirmations.
Yes.
And is it the feelings that we want to have
Yes.
in the future?
You want the state of being.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily that you're thinking of an outcome, but just the feelings that you know that you will have in the future.
Well, yes, you can use an image of an outcome to get you into the feeling.
Yeah.
But once you're in the feeling, drop the image because you don't know that that's actually the best outcome.
Yes. Okay, so I can use that technique
Yes,
to
absolutely.
bring my...
But that's how visualization works, not insisting on the visual.
Yes, it's just,
Just
something
letting
that comes
it
and
get
goes.
you into the excited state.
Okay. Can I ask you what is my
You
vibrational...
sure you want to ask that? Because here's the thing about asking that. I'll give it to you if you want.
Okay.
Let's say a person is vibrating at 170,000 cycles per second. The moment they ask, what is my vibration, it goes down.
I was just curious because I heard this yesterday and I had never heard that before.
It's a collective frequency that is a combination of many different things your scientists don't even know about yet. So I'll tell you right now, you're operating somewhere around 155,000 cycles per second, which isn't bad. But the point is when you ask, it goes down.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not about asking what the frequency is, it's about living it.
Understand.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Now it went back up. And I know there are clever people among you already plotting at some point to ask, what was my vibration before I asked? You can get away with nothing with us.
Good day, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Best. That's that vibrational hello. I could walk away.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, but I'll stay.
Hello.
Hello. So I have two more personal questions, not science questions, because I think your higher self that you channel, Bashar, is so lovely and pure. And I have two scenarios. My questions are how to just look at the belief. I'm just interested in what my belief systems are because I'm doing the practice, but I'm not exactly letting go.
All right.
So I have in a very loving, holy, healthy home.
Yes.
I have a very addicted kid who's been through about 17 facilities and ERs and is at risk of life.
All right.
And so it's very painful, and I know that...
All right. You understand what addiction is, yes? Energetically?
Please alliterate and I'll finish my question.
Addiction comes about when someone is attempting to fill an emptiness that they feel, but don't know what to fill it with. They look to the outside world to either fill it with something that they believe might allow them to feel fulfilled, but never will, because the emptiness comes from their belief that they are disconnected from their own power, from the source of existence itself. Or they will attempt to use substances to numb the feeling so they won't have to pay attention to the fact that they feel disconnected and powerless in their lives. So it comes from a sensation of emptiness and disconnection that they try to either numb so they don't have to pay attention to it, or try to fill with things they think will allow it to feel filled, but never will, because they're looking outside themselves instead of within. And they don't necessarily understand the belief systems that are at work within them that create the feeling of emptiness that they're attempting to fill. That is the cause of addiction of all forms.
Yes. Yeah, I have 22 years.
Therefore, the idea of somehow imaginatively, creatively, and lovingly allowing a person to begin to understand how reality works and what belief systems are and how they create feelings and thoughts and behaviors and experiences will begin to give them, if they're willing to accept it, the tools by which they can feel the experience of reconnection to their power and then lose the addiction, so to speak.
Yes.
Or taking it to what we call the 13th step, changing themselves in the present sufficiently that they actually become a person who has never been addicted, ever. They change their past.
Right.
So, but they have to have the knowledge and the tools to understand how things work so they can apply it.
Right.
And they have to be in a place where they're willing to understand those tools and practice them.
Thank you. Very sentient, awake being. We definitely treat her in that regard.
Yes.
Outside of our family, some heavy criminal forces kind of interceded, created trauma, and
Ooh, how
her
exciting.
highest. I know. Her highest passion is extreme self-destruction.
No.
Okay, so
No.
here's my okay.
No such thing.
Right.
Passion is not self-destruction. You are conflating the idea of one definition for something else.
Yeah, I was being cynical a little bit. That's
All
true.
right. Well, as we have said, cynicism will be the downfall of your society.
Yeah. Amen. Thank you. So I know that regardless of circumstance, situation, or condition, I have to stay in my joy, my non-attached.
Not have to.
I choose to.
Thank you.
Stay in
Big
my-
difference. Because when you say, I have to, you're actually putting stress on yourself if you don't. Because you don't have to. You might want to learn a lesson. You might choose to learn a lesson by stepping outside of your passion for a moment. If you use it in a positive way, that's okay. So don't make it a have to or should. Make it a choice. And if you do step out, make that a choice too, so that you can use everything to your advantage. Because if you're saying, well, I have to do this, and then you find that you don't, then you have nothing to work with because you're not thinking that you did it on purpose, which you may have.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right.
So next steps. There's so much kind of in the physical world. There's so much drama and tragedy around this person's actions,
Yes.
just neutrally, that it's been a very draining few years. And the next step
Yes.
in being of service, where this person could leave the planet, it's intense for parents.
Understood.
What belief system and what resonance, because I'm getting tired, do I bring in the highest service? Because
Stop trying so hard.
Yeah.
Trust that they have a path you may know nothing about. And this may be the way they need to do it. Do remember that you are all indestructible and eternal beings. There's no hurry. If they don't learn the lesson in this life, they'll learn it somewhere. I understand that you can attempt to be of service by letting them know as best you can that there are other options. But if they don't choose it, you have to be allowing enough to let them live out their path as they have chosen to do so. Otherwise, you are not being unconditional.
Which gets the I don't want to lose them.
You can't lose anyone. That's your definition. They may change their state, but you haven't lost them any more than you lose someone who changes their clothes. You have to start understanding the spirit realm and what you call death in a very different way. You haven't lost anything.
It's the second time in this microphone we've ended up here, actually, over the last year. That's interesting. Thank you. Another question.
Yes.
I love money, and money
Oh,
gives
all right.
me.
Does money love you back?
Yeah, sometimes that's the question. It creates.
We don't necessarily want to delve too deeply into that relationship.
Okay, well, then I can leave again. No, hold on. Let me clear it up.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to co-creating a miracle, because why we're here in this realm, I do understand that you reach a point in the journey where there's no such thing as there's no longer faith of thinking and wishing. It's just knowing and stepping into your highest passion with belief. But I have a secret part of me that stays in the background. I'll go into joy periods, 30
Did
years
you say
spiritual.
a secret part of you?
Well,
I guess it's no
not
longer
now.
a secret.
That's why I'm saying it in front of other human beings on this plane. And but then I will cycle down into great suffering and attachment.
Your choice.
Yeah.
Why?
That's it. And well, the externals are last year the money.
No.
Okay.
Don't talk to us about externals.
Okay.
Why? What do you get out of doing that? You must believe you're getting something out of it, or you wouldn't do it. What do you believe you're getting out of making that kind of a choice? You might be making the choice for a positive reason to go into a negative experience because you believe that that's the way you're going to learn something you can't learn any other way. It might be that, but is it that? Can you have honest self-investigation to know and discern the difference between a choice that is truly simply a choice of anxiety or a choice of empowerment to experience something that most people would call negative, to gain something from that experience that can actually serve to put you back in a positive direction? Not saying you have to do it that way, but is that why you're doing it? You need to have discernment as to what you're actually doing and the reasons for why you choose what you choose. You have to become transparent to yourself. It comes down once again to the ancient phrase, know thyself. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You have to be aware within yourself, self-aware of why you make the choices that you do. Then you will understand how you're using those experiences, why those experiences exist, why you're making the choices that you do for positive or negative reasons. You have to investigate yourself. Yes?
Yes.
But don't blame the externals. Remember, it doesn't matter what happens. It only matters what you do with what happens.
This particular diamond of awareness, I want to find and
I just gave it
extricate.
to you.
But
What makes you think you have to go digging for it? I just handed it to you.
Right.
You see, that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
You don't understand what you already have. You think you have to go looking for it. You're not seeing what's right here with you already.
Well, if I shift into gratitude, I have a very powerful life. I just want more.
I understand that sometimes you do, but
Yeah.
we're not talking about those times, are we? We're talking about the times you choose not to. So, in those times, why not just let yourself know that you have it? And if you relax for a moment and don't go into panic, you may actually realize you have what you need.
Right.
The negative belief may simply be attempting to convince you that you don't have it and you have to go digging for it, and then you panic because you don't think you have it, when in fact you may be holding it right in your hand. Look for it first before you go digging.
Okay.
You may already have what you need.
It seems like it's sitting on the surface waiting to be picked up and examined, not dug for.
It is.
That's true. Yeah.
But again, if you find joy in the digging, then dig.
I love the spiritual journey of business and attainment as a spiritual exploration. I have joy in that.
But again, you don't have to suffer.
Yeah, that's
Unless,
the thing.
again,
I try to
you really choose to get something out of suffering. But you don't have to. And it's always a choice. Always a choice. It doesn't mean it's a conscious choice, but it is always a choice based on what you believe to be true. So if you don't prefer what you're choosing, find out the belief that would make it seem logical and sensible to choose that. Because that's the only reason you would choose to experience
and just
those
keep
things.
practicing the formula while observing that belief system. And it will then let it in the light kind of just...
That's one way, yes. Or you can just understand what we're saying and you'll get it.
I'll choose that.
Well, all right,
Thank
then
you.
do so.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Two less personal questions. One, when you look from your race and you look at our race, when is America going to move beyond this illusion of racism and polarity when we all know we're just souls? It seems it's like a back cycle, and I'm wondering, what does that look like from your society's point of view?
The window is that no longer, could be sooner, but no longer than 50 of your years. That will be gone.
Right.
Could be sooner, though.
Right.
But not just because it will go away on its own.
Right. With the evolution.
You have to take the actions in order to speak the language of physical reality that express the world you would prefer to experience.
Last question. Is Easter Island, this is from my wife, a part of Lemuria?
Yes.
Who built the stone figures on Easter Island, and what
The Lemurians.
purpose did the stones have?
They were representations of the Anunnaki.
How is Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon connected?
Lemuria gave rise to the idea of a migration into the Americas, north, central, and south, and the migration across the continents into the Bahama area created the colony of Atlantis.
Thank you, and I choose to take all of your miracles today. Thank you for co-creating this moment with me, Bashar. You're awesome.
And you as well.
Love you.
Hi, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
Okay, so I have a project that I've been working on. It involves telepathy.
Telepathy.
Yes, telepathy. And I've reached, I've kind of had a creative block or a little bit of trouble linking things together.
All right. Well, you do understand what telepathy is, yes? How it works?
Yes.
You do? Well, explain it to us then, please.
I'd feel more comfortable if you explained it.
So you don't understand.
Maybe not. We'll see
All
after.
right.
Yeah.
Again, people on your planet, many of them, use this outdated, old-fashioned idea that telepathy and telepathy means you are reading someone else's mind. You are never reading someone else's mind, ever. Telepathy, and why we say telempathy, as being more precise, is because you get on a similar wavelength, a similar frequency to someone else, and then you automatically, by being on that frequency, have the same thoughts at the same time, synchronistically. So the mind you're reading is your own. It just happens to be exactly the same thing that someone else is thinking because you're on the same wavelength. That's how telepathy works. You have to, in a sense, be in love with them, in alignment with them, or have a great, overpowering need to be on that frequency and know what they're thinking. But you're only reading your own mind. You're not reading theirs.
So is it possible to send and transmit information between two people?
Do you not see that all the time with people who are in love with each other? Because again, they're having the same thoughts at the same time. So the way it works mechanically is that someone gets into a certain frequency when they're thinking a certain thing. The other person in the relationship that loves them in one way, shape, or form is willing to be open to adjust their frequency on an ongoing basis here and there to match the vibration the other person is giving off, and thus they will have the same thoughts, thus having received what the other person was sending.
Can it be done with people that don't know each other?
Yes, as long as they hit the same basic frequency, yes, of course. So there are people who are sensitive enough to be open enough and allow their frequency to fluctuate and adjust enough to tap into, to scan and tap into other frequencies of other people and then go, oh, all right, I'll match that one. And then they will know what that person is thinking. And perhaps vice versa.
Okay,
even though the other person may not know where that thought is coming from.
So how can I get past the mental blocks that I have when working to work on this project to keep it...
Well, what is the project?
So it's an app that involves telepathy, peer-to-peer interaction with people, where one person broadcasts the image while the other person has several.
All
images
right,
to
but
select.
again, you're doing this in a way that may not necessarily always produce the result that you seek, because you're leaving the emotional component out of it. And you're also not following the idea that there are conditions, or what I will call rules, of psychic functioning. For example, one of them is what you call, typically for another reason, the rules of similars. I will give you an example. In some old-fashioned ways of testing for psychic abilities, you have people that have certain kinds of images or cards in front of them that they want the so-called psychic or telepath to read without looking at them. Yes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But the idea is let's say that the person holding the card is holding an ace of spades. To them, energetically, symbolically, the ace of spades may represent a winning card. What the other person, who may be capable of adjusting their vibration to match the tester's vibration, may pick up on is not the image of the ace, but the energy, the winning card. Now, maybe in the telepaths or psychics past, they were playing a game, and the winning card for them might have been the Queen of Hearts. So they might go, winning card, Queen of Hearts. The tester will go, no, you failed, when in fact they succeeded. Because what they did is they went off the idea that the vibration of the ace to the tester is the same as the vibration of the queen to the reader. So they actually did match the vibration, but the symbol was different for what that represents. So you have to deal with an interpretation of symbols between different people. Another rule or condition of psychic functioning and telepathy is simply called the path of least resistance. So in other words, if somebody says, how much change do I have in my pocket, oh psychic one? The psychic really more sensibly would say, well, information takes the path of least resistance. Why would I need to project my mind into the ethers and find exactly where the change in your pocket is and count it out, when all you need to do is reach into your pocket and count it? Because that's the path of least resistance, because you already know what's there. So the fact that the tester already knows the answer can short circuit the psychic's ability to get it, because there's no reason for the psychic to get it, because the answer is already known to the tester. So there are many different conditions and so-called rules of psychic functioning that many people on your planet don't understand. And again, one of the things that they make the biggest error about is attempting to remove the emotional component from these kinds of tests, because as you observe in life, most telepathy and psychic functioning happens on a spur-of-the-moment spontaneous basis, because there is a great deal of identification or love involved, or there's a great need to know the information, which in a sense is the same kind of energy. This is how it works, and you have to understand how these things work in order to have an accurate test. So most of the testing actually has to happen in the laboratory of life, rather than being restricted down to a sterile environment that may not create the vibrations of similarity that you're looking for to get the result that you seek. Unless you can design an app that allows people to entrain themselves to be more open to matching the vibrations empathically of other people. And then it might actually have some success. Does that help?
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Oh, all right.
So. Do you have any suggestions on how to help it empathically?
I can't give you the technology.
Okay.
You just have to figure it out.
All right. This was an idea that came to me. It woke me up one night and it was like, write this down, do it. And then so it started me on that path.
And that's fine. And if the so-called app that you're creating can get people into an excited state about experiencing telepathy, the fact that it gets them into an excited state may actually be what causes the resonance to exist within them that will tap into someone else's excited state about the same thing. And so people participating with your app who are both excited about the potential of what it could create, in creating the excitement, may actually create the linkage. You follow?
Yes.
All right. Does that help?
It does.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello again, my friend.
And to you, good day.
All right, just wanted some clarification on what type of trees and logs did the Atlantean use and in what proportion for the drums?
Well, there was a lot of tropical trees.
Okay. So in Bahamas, the tropical trees would be like the...
It would be similar.
Okay.
So the idea is to hollow them out, but again, remember, you need to use natural proportions, sacred geometries, phi ratios, Fibonacci sequences to get the correct proportions of length and width and thickness and so on and so forth. But you can figure that out.
Okay, great. Okay. And as far as the Atlantean, like how they were developing slaves and whatnot,
Later on, yes.
Was that reflections of Anunnaki times of how they created us?
Yes, again,
Yeah.
cycles and cycles and cycles repeating. Yes.
Okay, great. So we're overcoming this idea of slavery and domination.
Eventually.
Eventually, and coming to this place of all being married like you guys?
In a sense, eventually, yes.
And being-
If you continue along that path, some of you won't, and you'll go on to another Earth that doesn't experience those things. But some of you will.
Awesome. And as far as Atlantean star affiliations, was Atlantis at one time like an open part of the alliance within the...
No.
Stellar
They were
Alliance?
visited a lot by different extraterrestrial races, but Earth has not been part of the idea of the interstellar alliance.
Okay, so we're still on course for initiation for that.
Yes, because the cycles hadn't finished yet.
Great. And as far as a diagrammatic
Yes.
explanation
Yes.
of the science of the obvious,
Yes.
what could that be represented in, like Metatron's cube or something?
Well, yes, the idea to some degree can be represented by the Merkaba,
Okay.
the double interpenetrating tetrahedrons, one
Awesome.
up, one down, yes. That is one particular kind of form that can represent the idea of the structure of existence.
Which is such an important thing to meditate on as well.
Well, it's a more important thing to act on.
More important thing, yes, absolutely, to become unified with.
Yes, because again, meditation is fine as a permission slip, but it's not the language of physical reality.
Absolutely. And as far as therapy is concerned,
Yes.
with everything I've learned from you, and with what the Earth paradigm is going through with therapy,
Yes.
is the idea. What I find with people will kind of want to resist the things that are so obvious within them
Yes.
that they still need the blanket to
Yes.
get in contact with their negativity,
Yes.
to even be able to feel to move through it, because they aren't willing to be fully transparent. with
Again,
themselves.
whatever permission slip works for them.
Yeah. So I guess it's really all about sensitivity, because I feel that gaining from you, like I super appreciate the hardcore mental acuteness
All right.
and precision.
Yes.
But a lot of humans are so caught up with their emotions
Yes.
that as soon as they get in the acute, sharp knife of the mind,
Yes.
they go haywire.
Yes.
So
What?
So just keep reflecting.
Just be yourself
Yeah.
and be the living example of giving them an option to choose something else. That's all you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And stay in a state where you understand that they are powerful, indestructible, eternal beings. They'll get the idea somewhere. It doesn't have to be now, and it's not your job. Whatever it is you give them, just as what we share with you, the information, all of it, we do because it is our passion to do so. But what you do with the information, whether you use it or not, is none of our business. And whatever it is you share as a living example with others, however they choose to take it or ignore it, is none of your business. Move on.
Awesome. That is one of my highest excitements, is the integration of the information.
All right.
And the facilitation of it.
Yes.
As far as the tree of life is concerned,
Yes.
Was that the tree of life taught by Tote?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought, because that's kind of what he showed me.
That's what you're told.
Yeah, exactly. And well, the tree of life originally, was that taught in Hebrew, or was that tree of life even before Hebrew?
It comes from earlier times. It was translated into Hebrew.
Okay, that's what I thought. But Hebrew is still like a good method, as you're saying, for
It's
magical.
possible, but there are other forms. Again, Everything is a permission slip, remember?
Yeah, so the Tree of Life could also be done in any other language as long as the energy
Yes.
resonance is correct.
Yes, because it's simply a representation, as we are talking about the underlying structure of existence.
Yeah,
And it can be represented in a number of ways.
cool. And I see the Tree of Life as being a diagrammatic circuit almost
in a sense, it is.
connecting all these energies of initiation with you and
Yes.
opening up new pockets of energy and influence.
Yes.
Okay, great. And what one last thing?
Yes.
And how much are you really watching me?
You
I'm just
personally?
curious. Well, sometimes, I'll be like really strongly on my path.
Yes.
And then sometimes I'll get jaded and just be like, fuck it, I'm going to smoke some weed.
That doesn't necessarily have to be the result of being jaded.
Okay. That's true. Absolutely. Like I get super into it, like everything. Like I'm a hardcore martial artist and I'm super into training and I love training. But then sometimes
All right.
whatever, I just answered my own question. Last
Thank
thing,
you.
the Jed of ancient Egypt
Yes.
and not the Jedi of Star
No,
Wars.
I understand what you're referring to.
Was that taught by Dehuti?
No.
No. Okay,
No.
that's what I always thought.
Nope.
Okay, so the Jed wasn't taught by that.
No.
Which beings brought in the Jed pillar?
I think you used up your last question already.
Okay. Thank you very much, my friend, once again.
You are welcome. Horus.
Hi, Bashar.
How do you? Good day.
Okay, my first question is, can you expand on the idea of the forbidden fruit and the story behind humans choosing a reality where they want what they can't have?
Well, again, this goes back to the Anunnaki times, because the forbidden fruit was simply the idea of the knowledge that they withheld from humanity by putting blocks in the genetic makeup so they would not necessarily become like the Anunnaki, that they would remain subservient. So the idea then is that they have created this diametric relationship between those that created you and you feeling unworthy of becoming like those that created you. Therefore, it falls neatly into the idea of the cycle of transformation to transform beyond that, to understand that you are worthy, to understand that it was simply withheld by beings that were themselves acting outside of their integrity. Does this help?
Yes, thank you. My next question is, can you expand on the archetype of the female dominatrix?
We'll let the tittering die down. But the idea in general is an attempt to rebalance the male-female energy relationship. Sometimes it can miss the mark and go the other way, but it is an attempt to break free from the idea of bondage, even though sometimes it might include bondage.
Thank you. I love you, Bashar.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
Ready for some hard questions?
We will give you some soft answers.
First question had to do with Joshua Tree and
Yes.
Midnight Under the Hunter's Moon.
Yes.
It's apparently it's 650,000 acres.
Yes. You find your own place in it.
So
It's a big area. There's a lot going on. You won't miss it if you're in the general area. You don't have to be that specific, except if you yourself are drawn to a particular place within it. It's all covered by what's happening, all of it. If you're anywhere in that area, you won't miss anything.
Does that mean that you should rely on your intuition and your own inner guidance?
What is it you humans often say? Duh.
Okay, so we'll move to another technology
Yes.
soon, but right now, Give me a moment. Okay, you have expressed that those born with rare negative blood types have a deep connection to Sirius. Can you expand on any specific connections that those with the rare trait of red hair, green hazel eyes, and freckles have?
Well, there are strong connections to the idea of the elementals, for one thing. In terms of extraterrestrial connections, it's a mix of things. There is, of course, always the Anunnaki genetics present. There are some Pleiadian energies within that mix. There are some other things that come from elsewhere you have no names for in that mix extraterrestrially. But in terms of the idea of the energy of Gaia, they're strongly connected to nature spirits and elementals.
Great. In your exploration of the universe, when you come across negative ETs, how do you deal with them?
We mostly leave them alone. Because again, we can observe, but they do not match our frequency. So there's no effect upon us to witness them, to observe them. But the idea is that we recognize they may be at a certain stage in their journey, in their evolution. And most of the ones in that sense that truly are expressing negativity in that way, the way you're asking it, aren't really out here among the stars. They're usually relatively either planet-bound or solar system-bound. They don't usually reach too much farther. This is kind of one of the reasons for the intelligence of the space between the stars. It's almost the same kind of idea that you do when you quarantine people so that the disease cannot spread. So the fact that the stars to you are so far apart, unless you finally understand exactly how to span that gulf in an efficient way as we have and other civilizations have, you usually remain relatively bound to your own solar system and cannot spread the negative infection, so to speak. So the idea of your science fiction where the negative beings can create a negative empire and go around and conquer a bunch of planets usually can only happen within a very small amount of space, relatively speaking. They can reach other planets perhaps and do things like that, but it's a relatively limited experience within the universe that we have found because they just can't get much farther.
So from that perspective, our own issues here on the planet having to do with energy and free energy and sources of energy.
Yes.
Is that part of the reason that we don't have free energy at this point, because we would possibly use it in a negative way, the unlimited?
It's part of the reason, yes. But also another part of the reason is that individuals who are negatively oriented are afraid that they will lose control if that comes about.
So how does that cycle get shifted?
Well, we can't really go much into that because then we're talking about the probabilities that are coming up in your reality.
I see. Okay, we can always explore it another day.
Yes.
I hear the stars of Orion really form a triangle, and that area is a special place. Can you tell us what makes it so special that ETs were willing to fight for it? Is that even...
It's not
correct?
a relevant question, and they don't form a triangle.
Oh, okay. Well, scratch that. What type of government did Atlantis have towards the end days compared to the current world governments?
It began with kings. It ended with dictators.
One of the biggest crimes during Atlantean times was genetic manipulation. The hybrid children agenda is also done through genetic manipulation. Would you please clarify what makes the hybrid children agenda karma-free?
The idea is that it is part of the evolutionary process of Earth. The idea of the genetic experiments done in Atlantis was for the idea of personal aggrandizement and gain and the idea of power over others. So the agreements in both directions are not the same in terms of their energy. The idea of the hybridization agenda is something you have all agreed to participate in because you understand it is part of the evolutionary path that you chose, and therefore you are simply being assisted in this by others who have the technology to do so. Even though they may also be doing it for their own purposes, it's still part of a larger agreement.
Now, since your society is stabilized by the artificial intelligence that's beamed at your planet,
yes.
What about the hybrid children? What is the stabilizing energy for them?
The stabilizing energy of the hybrid races, in a sense, is created aboard the ships.
Do tell.
I just told you. There are particular frequencies that the ships themselves are flooded with that represent the stabilizing energy that comes from the 3 artificial moons around our world. They have their own ways also of creating this stabilization energy.
So what about for planet Earth? Once they're here, it appears that once beings are here, they can succumb to the levels of imbalance.
That's why we already told you that the artificial moons of Epsilon, Epiphany, and Eclipse around our world are beaming stabilizing energy to your moon, which then beams down to your planet. It's in preparation for the stabilization atmosphere that is required for the hybrid children that will eventually come to live among you, and also will help in your own stabilization.
So one particular Earth trajectory is the one where stabilizing energy is being beamed towards the planet, and other beings are going to be joining this environment to help stabilize the energy.
Yes, because they will bring the stabilization energy with them as well.
Is that what was discovered through all these millennium of existence and history? Was that
one of the things.
That human consciousness requires stabilizing energy in order to remain balanced and to express itself in a positive way?
Yes, because look at the idea of the fundamental needs. Yes? Remember that one of the needs is the idea of an environment that is conducive to expansion. Therefore, the stabilizing energy is part of the idea of the creation of an environment that is conducive to life and expansion.
And essentially what you're saying is that we've reached a level of acceptance of our self-worth that allowed us to surmount the negative markers that were suppressing the state of full self-acceptance. And it's through those increasing vibrational states that we're now able to attract assistance in having stabilizing energy focused at the earth.
You sort of sound like a Sasani person when you say that.
That's just so fascinating that of all the stories of the universe, that the one that's relevant to us is about this stabilizing energy. And maybe people even feel it within themselves, their desire to stabilize with love relationships or positive reflections. That these are the correct states for us to fully express our potential. And to be able to discern when you're being, in a sense, seduced down the rabbit hole of negativity and negative beliefs, which will just destabilize you.
Yet at the same time, for now, some forms of destabilization will allow you to unlock from the past and lock into something different that is more stable. So it can again be used in different ways. Nevertheless.
Would you like to hear a few more?
No.
Why did I know that already?
Because you're so tuned in. And now we will briefly tune out. Please take a short break. We will resume this transmission with your meditation. All right, I'll say let us continue the transmission by allowing yourselves to become very relaxed in your seats and let go of the cares of the day. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in and let it out. Take a deep breath in and hold it, hold it, hold it, and blow it out. Continue to breathe deeply, gently, and easily. Allow yourselves to focus on the holotope before you as your lights and music begin to play. And come on this journey with us. Allow yourselves to simply let go, to float in the void among the stars, and to look back through the eons of time to the ancient days of Orion. Look back through time to the ancient days of the Anunnaki. Look back through time to the ancient days of Maldek. Look back through time to the ancient days of Mars. Look back through time to the days of the Greys. Look back through time to Lemuria. Look back through time to the days of Atlantis. Look back through time to your history, to the cycles of light and darkness that define the reality in which you have experienced your path, your journey, your story. And now simply look to the present. When new light enters the story, new awareness awakens in the story, and a new path unfolds before you on this journey. From the perspective of time, you have spent millions upon millions upon millions of years to arrive at this point, to arrive at this timing. 2020, when you look back and look forward simultaneously, the mirror reflection of probability, the mirror reflection of all that you have experienced behind you and ahead of you, as time collapses into the now, allowing you to take with you what you have learned, what you have experienced from the long journey of arriving here and now, and what you will take with you on the journey ahead as you move forward as more of yourself, gathering yourselves together, integrating the different aspects of your personalities that represent and reflect your connections to all that we have discussed, all that we have shared with you, from Orion and the Anunnaki and Maldek and Mars and the Greys and the Earth and Lemuria and Atlantis. Anything you require from those experiences is still with you if you wish it to be, but with you only in the way that serves you now in moving forward, at the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. The cycles upon cycles upon cycles upon cycles that have defined the very existence, the very experience of what it is to be on earth are now coming to an end, to begin a new, longer cycle, a cycle of eons, a cycle in which you can shine forth, illuminating the path ahead of joy, clarity, peace, creativity, beauty, and unconditional love that shall accompany you forevermore. For now, 2020 is the filter. And in that moment is your opportunity of all that you have learned to leave behind what no longer works for you, what no longer is relevant for the you that you prefer to be moving forward. Let it fall away. Let it remain where it will still serve those who may come after you on their own journeys and own cycles of experience and transformational endeavors from darkness to light. Leave it for them on the path so they may pick it up and use it as they wish, while you move forward, taking with you only those elements, those bits of awareness and information that serve you on your forward journey to allow you to remain stabilized in your vibrational energy of true self, with open eyes and awareness, absorbing and encompassing and allowing all to come to you, which will only be those things that always serve you. Relax and release that which you no longer need. Open your arms to receive that which you do need, that which is you, that which urges you and carries you forward, entices you, and allows you to be curious every moment about what you experience in the present so that you may use it to your advantage and in the service of others by being yourself, by being the example of all that you have learned and incorporated and integrated within yourself to be the living example so that others may see in you the joy and light and life and love in your energy, in your eyes, in your heart, in your soul, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, so that others may see how you walk the path of being yourself, so that you may give them at least the opportunity and the option to choose that for themselves as well. But as you do that, like a river, you move on. You have left them the only gift you can give is the opportunity to know themselves by seeing the living example of you as you know yourself to the depths of your being. And you move on and continue to walk and move forward, charting the course, revealing the path to enlightenment and oneness and wonder beyond measure. Dive into the ocean of your imagination and float down to the depths of your being, to the depths of your soul. Float freely, breathing of the liquid light that surrounds you, in and out, fulfilling you, allowing you to drift and dream in lucidity, in awareness, awake and alert and yet dreaming, forever dreaming, forever awake. so that you may see, so that you may perceive the doorways and portals that open before you, that you may cross those thresholds and find only on the other side the reality that you prefer, the beauty that you seek, the knowledge of yourself, and the awareness of your being, and the reflection of the spark of light that is your soul. That is the facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation that you are. And that will allow you to feel the blessings, the gratitude, the appreciation, and allow you to express the grace that is within you as you glide forward in life, floating freely through your imagination, through your consciousness, through the illusion that serves you, in only those ways that you prefer. That you become transparent to yourself. That you become the waking dream of all that is. So it may reflect upon itself its own awareness of its vast beauty and power and grace through all of you, as all of you are all that is. Awakening to itself in a new way, discovering itself in a new way through you, through itself as you, through itself as us, so that we may experience ourselves as family. And so that as you cross that threshold of those doors that open before you, that welcome you in, we may thus then say to you, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. Allow yourselves to breathe freely of the new atmosphere, of the new reality in the clear, crisp air, an environment that nurtures and sustains you and propels you forward and energizes you and nourishes you and frees you to realize your greatest power, the freedom to choose. Pass through the filter of 2020 with eyes in all directions so that you may use all that you can experience in the present, connecting to, tapping into, drawing from everything that you deem shall serve you to be yourself more and more, to open up to the cosmos and take in your birthright of self-awareness, self-recognition, and self-realization in the fullness of your being, in the full spectrum of light and life and love that you deserve, for you are worthy now and forever, and it always has been so, or you would not be here at this moment, by your own volition, by your own choosing, at this time, in this place, of the opening doors of insight and clarity and crystallization. Feel your vibration resonate and ring like the clearest bell. For that is your song, that is your truth, that signature vibration, that signature frequency, that is you. Let it sing forth, let it ring forth, and let it bring forth all that you are, so that you may receive all of the gifts that are yours to receive, so that you may give all of the gifts that are yours to give, for which there are always countless beings waiting for your sharing of being yourself as you walk on the path that is now you. Continue to breathe deeply in and out. In and out. In and out. Like waves of eternity lapping upon the shores of imagination. Continue to breathe and float freely in the dream on the currents of the ocean of creation. Allow your lights and music to soften, knowing that it still will resonate within you. Even in what seems to be the void, you know it is not empty, for you have filled it with yourself, and it has fulfilled your being. Continue to breathe in silence among the stars, in and out, in and out. Shivar. All you will ever discover in the deepest, darkest, most fearsome abyss.